The Rumbo is here. Did you order that air compressor? When I get my January Social Security check, I'm going to order one. I am so impressed with that one. I'm going to order it and keep it in the. I have a compartment in the trunk of the Passat. I'm gonna have it. Well, I got a. You're supposed to have a first aid kit. It came from the factory. Well, somebody. So I bought a first aid kit, and I put it in the compartment, and there'll be enough room to put the compressor, and then the CD changer is underneath, and there's a neat little door that locks. Hey, look who's here! All right, drive safe. We'll be waiting for you. Yeah, Ron, I figured for that price, it's well worth it. Especially considering I've tested it. You know, it's not like you go on Amazon and you're like, oh, which one? That one I physically tested, and the thing's amazing. Talk about modern technology. You know, something. I mean, I've got this twin piston 12-volt compressor that, believe me, I love. I got it off of Amazon like 5 years ago. And it's a wonderful unit. But, you know, comes in a suitcase. This thing you could almost put in your pocket. So I decided January, I'm going to order one. I could order one now, but, you know, money's tight. I'm trying to start saving again because, you know, I drained my savings account fixing that car, which I'm not complaining because for what I paid for it and what I had to invest in repairs, I couldn't have bought that car for that price. God, junk around here was going for almost $3,000. So I'm not complaining, not to mention it's got Michelin tires on it. And they are really nice in the snow. And snow and ice because we had some icy roads here, and between the Michelin tires and the traction control, I'm going to love that car in shitty weather. Not to mention, it's a manual. One of the safest vehicles to drive in the snow. The only thing that I need to get done is the driver's window. That's all that's left. And one day I have to call that auto glass place and find out how much they charge to put them stupid plastic clips in and get my window glass mounted. Because, boy, I'll tell you what, it's a pain in the ass not being able to put that window up and down. Especially, you know, when I'm smoking, because I always crack the window. Now, I crack the window on the other side, but I just like, because that way I can flick the ashes out. So are you feeling better today? I have to order 2 more signs. These stupid delivery companies. I'm waiting. Remember I said I was waiting on a package that left the warehouse yesterday morning. Well, this package left the depot out in Warrensville, which is only about 20 minutes from me. It left the depot yesterday at 7:58. I didn't get it until today at 3:41. And then, where do they put the package? On the front porch, under the signs that say, deliver the side door, do not deliver packages here, and then take pictures. So I got on with SpeedX customer service, and I got on with Temu, and I SpeedX, what's the problem with your delivery, sir? I said, do you have access to the photographs? Oh, why, yes. I says, well, look at them, and you tell me what's the problem with the delivery. And she says, I think I have to have some conversation with the driver. I said, yeah, I think so too. And then I told Temu, I don't want any of my packages shipped with this outfit anymore. Mark them off the list. This is the 3rd time. Because today I got a delivery from Uni and GoFo Express. Both of them delivered to the milk chute. Ring the bell. SpeedX, just throw them where they want. Yeah, 100% right, Ron. Put a traffic cone out with a sign. Leave package here, and they'll take it to the milk chute. So I'm going to order two more because they're only $5 a piece. And then right where my walkway to my porch meets the driveway, I'm going to put one right there, traffic cone with a sign mounted to it. Then 5 feet up, a second traffic cone with a sign mounted to it. And then 5 feet up from that, another traffic cone with a sign mounted on it. And then it'll be 5 feet to the porch. So they're going to have to walk past 3 sets of signs. Yeah, well, gee, sir, I guess we're going to have a little talk with the driver. Yeah, I would think so. Especially when you put the package underneath the sign that says, do not deliver package here, deliver the side door, and take a picture. Because the goddamn porch pirates are working the neighborhood. So I've been, constantly looking for it. Then I decided to check the team who, check my order, and it said delivered. And then I clicked on the pictures. And I was like, you bastards. Although I got an email back, which is stupid. It said, upon contacting driver stated he had trouble finding the address. In the pictures, you will see on my screen door, there's a lower panel that's like 24 by 32 with 5-inch black block letters with my address. And they're very visible in the picture. How did he have problems seeing the address when he took a picture of it? At 3:41 in the afternoon. It wasn't like it was dark. But I also ordered today a solar-powered, illuminated address sign. It comes on dusk to dawn, it lights up, and you put your address numbers in it. So in case it's dark, they can still see my address. Yeah, I was sitting here. It was like 10 after 1. I hear the doorbell ring. I go to the side door. I open the milk chute. Here's a package delivered by Uni. Then about 20 minutes later, the doorbell rings again. I open the milk chute. Here's the package delivered by Golfo Express. Then an hour and a half later, the asshole from SpeedX delivers it to my front porch. Two out of three ain't bad. So I went up today and I got 3 gift cards from McDonald's. One for my UPS man, one for my FedEx girl, and one for my mail lady. Because they give me outstanding service. Like, you know, like my UPS man, he will ring the bell and he will wait until I answer the door. Now, he doesn't have to. I'll ring the bell, he can leave. If I don't come down and answer the door, he will put the package behind the house and then leave a note. That way nobody could see the package in the driveway if it don't fit in the milk chute. And the last delivery I got from my little FedEx pixie, she did the same thing. She rang the bell and waited until I came to the door, and then handed me my package. And my mail lady, every day, because I asked her, every day when she drops my mail, whether it's a package or just letters, I told her, ring the bell to alert me that the mail's here. So all 3 of them are getting McDonald's gift cards. That way they can, you know, stop and get themselves a couple of cups of coffee or something. I mean, they're only $10, but you know, how many customers don't do a damn thing? I like to show appreciation for good service. And it also then guarantees good service into 2026. You know, company policy, they're not supposed to take gifts. I'd like, hey, nobody has to know. Put it in your pocket before you get in the truck. I don't know if UPS has cameras in their trucks or not. I know Amazon does. Yeah, they got cameras all over them trucks. Front, both sides, back, interior. They can see what a driver's doing any time of the day. And they tell the drivers. Matter of fact, they show them. There's a camera there. There's a camera here. There's a camera here. There's a camera back here. And there's one right over your head in the truck. And you get stupid drivers that still screw off. It's like this arrest video I watched last night. This woman worked for the Bullseye store in the counting room for 25 years. Two months before her retirement date, she stole $26,000. And on her last day of work, as she went to punch out, she was greeted by two deputy sheriffs who put her in silver bracelets. And they were watching the video of her taking money out of the money bags that came from each register, and she thought she was hiding it. And then at the end of her shift, she gathered all the money up and put it in a small cardboard box. Little cardboard box. Then she thought inconspicuously she was slipping the cardboard box in her pocket. Then she would immediately go to the ladies' room, take the money out of the cardboard box, put it in her underwear, and destroy the cardboard box. And she did this every day for 2 months before she retired. She stole $26,650. And she knew there were cameras everywhere in the money room. But she thought she was being sly. What a way to screw up your life. You work 25 years. You retire. On your last day, you get arrested for grand theft. I'm like, how stupid can people be? I can't wait till Kathy gets here. I have a hilarious arrest story. Plus, I got a gift today. So I wanna show off my gift. But I want Kathy to be here too. So how are you doing today, Ron? Besides your feet, which my heart goes out to you, buddy. Nothing worse than, I mean, there are times when I get woke up where it feels like somebody poured lighter fluid on my feet and set them on fire. So I know what you're going through, man. Good thing I'm seeing the foot doctor Monday. Because I want to find out what's causing this. It doesn't happen all the time. Matter of fact, it happened last night. I swear, I no sooner fall asleep. And next thing you know, I'm like, holy shit. And I rub them, I get up, I walk around. Nothing extinguishes the burn. And then after a while, it goes away. I'm like, what is this shit? Because basically Monday, he'll probably tell me when he wants to schedule surgery on my foot. To get my toe straightened. Because basically, I'm like walking on the tip of that toe. And it hurts like hell. Although I know what he's going to tell me. We're just going to break it. But the major problem is I can't afford to be, basically off my feet. Not to mention, I need both feet to drive. It would be different if I had an automatic, I could drive left foot. No, I need both feet. So yeah, it's good. Monday's going to be interesting. Hear what he's got to say. Gee, I got to get the weed whacker out again. I'm feeling stubble on my head. Didn't you say they gave you some sort of cream for your feet? What is that, like a steroid cream? Yeah, she's on the road. She's driving. So she said as soon as she gets home, she'll pop back in. But she was driving. Which is nice of her to say, hey, I'll be here. Although I don't know if, I would tend to think if you downloaded an app, a YouTube app to your phone, you could pair it with your infotainment center and watch while you drove. Oh, I thought it was a prescription. Is something OTC, over the counter? A 2-ounce jar. You'll have to email me what it is. I'll try it, see if it works. Because, man, they're not, that pain is ungodly. Like I say, it feels like somebody took Zippo lighter fluid. Oh, whoa! Talk about a hot foot. And this is an over the counter you get at any drugstore? I never heard of it. The Runaway. I'll tomorrow I have to go out. I will look for it at Mark's, and if they don't have it, as much as I hate going to CVS, I'll go to CVS, and if they don't have it, Walgreens, which I hate them too, but I'll give it a shot. Yeah, it figures. Walmart. Well, if I can't get it at Walgreens or CVS, I'll have Mary Ann pick me up some because she goes to Walmart all the time. I don't do Walmart. Well, I do Walmart online. Narumpawee. Sounds like that song, you know, a wee ma wep, a wee ma wep, Narumpawee, 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 Narumpawee. I know, sick son of a bitch. I hate when my hair starts to grow because my head itches. I haven't been mowing the lawn here like I usually do. I've been fucking lazy. I'll admit it. God, this stuff tastes good. Banana custard. It's amazing the goddamn vape juice. They make it in every goddamn flavor under the sun. Oh, banana cream pie. Pardon me. Banana cream pie, and boy, it tastes just like. I'm going to have to stop at the vape shop anyway because they were out of my coconut custard. I really like that one. Yeah, my vape shop. It's called Planet of the Vapes. I'll never forget the first time my son said, "Oh, my buddy opened a vape shop down the street." I said, "What's the name of it?" He said, "Planet of the Vapes." I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." Nope, that's the name of the shop. Planet of the Vapes. Kind of unique. Easy to remember. And boy, does he have inventory. Holy, I never saw so many bottles of vape juice and vape supplies and vape units. Although I didn't get this from him. I ordered it online. It was cheaper. It's a nice unit, though. I like it. I'm having pasta tonight for dinner. I took some Barilla roasted garlic spaghetti sauce and then doctored it up, and I sliced in 2 nice sized links of hot Italian sausage. And I'm making penne pasta because it holds more sauce. So that's dinner tonight. Penne pasta with Barilla roasted garlic sauce with sliced Italian sausage in it. And when I was at the store the other day, I didn't think to get pepperoni. Usually I add pepperoni in my spaghetti sauce too. I like to doctor it up. Hey, look who popped in the door. Rudy's here. I wish Kathy'd get here. I'm delaying the start of the show. Actually, the show started already. I just haven't done the formal start yet. Let's do the formal start. Broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Cleveland, it's station WDWL TV, starring the Grumpy Old Man, and the show is brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. No bow, no bow, no bow.
But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
And the Festivus pole is lit again tonight. I wish the new camera would get here. God, I can't wait to actually be able to have living color instead of washed out blah. Because the old Festivus pole will look real good if that new camera does what it's supposed to. I hope so. Although I'm not paying for it anyway. It's a gift, but I mean, supposedly, I was reading up because he did send me the make of the camera. And basically, with it, like I say, this Logitech is 30 frames per second. The HD camera is 60. So it should crisp up the light. I hope. Supposed to be here next week. Which was nice. Very nice of a subscriber to send me a gift. Although today I got a gift from an old friend that worked with me at the hospital, who was also a follower. But I'm waiting till Kathy gets back so I can show it off and tell my arrest story. Talk about people dumbasses. Oh my God, this one is hilarious. God, that's good. I wonder where Kathy was coming back from. Although, with her living out in the sticks, nothing is close by. Even a trip up to the corner store is a half hour each way. Although it's got to be nice living out in God's country. I kind of envisioned that when I retired, and then that vision kind of went away. I was like, boy, it'd be nice to have 5, 6, 7 acres, be all out by yourself. The only problem is there's a drawback to being, 5 miles from your nearest neighbor. Yeah, if that camera works the way it's supposed to, I will assemble the second Festivus pole, and then we'll have one on either side. Because I have a pair. Yeah, they were on sale from Temu. 2 for, I think I paid $9 for the pair. They're kind of neat. If you could, see them in true color. Although, you can kind of make out the colors, but they're too washed out. That's why I'm hoping this new camera cures that problem. We'll see. Although if I could find the 2 that I can't find, especially that AI camera, that one was dynamite. I don't know why I still to this day don't know why I tried it for a week, and then I put it back in the box and put it away somewhere. Because that was the one that followed you. If I moved this way, the camera would turn that way. If I moved this way, the camera would turn this way. Although I set it up in Studio One, and there's no, well, I've got the on-air sign. I can't remember if it showed the true colors or not. There's a reason I stopped using that brand new camera. I don't remember why I put it in the box. Although I have a bad habit of going, well, I'll wait till this one burns out, and then I'll replace it. And this one's going on 8 or 9 years. Although I can't complain. I mean, Logitech makes great products. They really do. Especially, the Blue Yeti microphones. Logitech bought them out, and those Blue Yeti microphones are dynamite, man. I don't know why I don't use them. They don't light up. Although next week I got to go over and pick that microphone up. Matter of fact, I asked her to email me the make of that camera. I'll have to send her an email again tomorrow and say, hey, before I pick that camera up or that microphone up, who makes it? That way I can read up on it before it gets here. Or before I pick it up, I should say. But according to the information on that new camera, it's supposed to be, well, it's autofocus, HD, 60 frames per second, so we'll see. Well, everybody will know if I'm using it. I won't have to say, hey, look, the new camera's here. Unless it ends up looking like this. It better not. Although it was nice for my subscriber to send it. Because I don't really like giving the studio address out. He emailed me and asked me for it, and I said, well, for what reason? I don't want people showing up with torches and pitchforks on my front lawn. He says, well, I want to send you a new camera. I said, whoa. Here's my address. Hey, Kathy's here. All right, I can show you my gift. I had a follower. Also, it's an old friend that worked with me at the hospital, Kathy. She sent me emblems for the Passat. You know, on the Nissan, I have those that say Shitbox Edition. Well, I have Grumpy Old Man Edition emblems for the Passat. Aren't those cool? I don't know where she found them. Yeah, Grumpy Old Man Edition. She sent me 4 of them. So I'm going to mount them on magnetic strips. Because that way, if I ever get rid of the Passat, I can take my emblems with me. But yeah, they came today. I don't know where she got them. I saw them and I was like, how cool are those? I was like, man, this is turning out to be a hell of a Christmas. Last year I got nothing. So far, a microphone, a new camera, emblems for the Passat. What next? I'm starting to feel special. just before airtime, I was watching some arrest videos. And the last video I watched was the police department in Wichita Falls. And this guy's driving down the road, tailgating the car in front of him. Now, the car in front of him was doing the speed limit. He's like a foot away from the back bumper, blowing his horn, flashing his lights, giving the one finger salute out the window. So the next thing, a marked unit pulls up behind him and stops him. And the officer comes up to the car and said, can I have your license, registration, proof of insurance? And by the way, what seems to be the problem? And he said, that asshole in front of me is driving like a little old lady and should be off the road and shouldn't have a driver's license. At which point, the uniformed officer gives the car a wave because the car pulled over in front of him. He no sooner waved and the unmarked car's lights came on. And the guy said to the cop, I'm fucked. And at that point, the undercover officer stepped out and asked the guy what his problem was, because he said, I was doing the speed limit. And you are quite impatient. Only to find out the guy's license plates were expired by 9 months. He had no insurance, and his driver's license was under suspension. And he is tailgating an unmarked patrol car, blowing his horn and flashing his lights. There is nothing that says, arrest me, I'm an idiot, like that. Because it was funny, it showed the two cars pulled over. And the uniformed officer gave a little wave, and next thing, the red and blue lights in the back deck. And the guy was, I'm fucked. Ugh. Pardon me. I got a rhinoceros in my throat. I could imagine at the end of their shift when they came back into the department and they were back in the squad room laughing their ass off going, do you believe that idiot? And then, get this, Kathy. I was reading a news article put out by none other than the Associated Press. And the heading of the news article was, Baby Mama Arrested for child abuse. Baby mama. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. The Associated Press, they're starting this shit now, baby mama. Oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing baby mama, baby daddy. What is this world coming? Associated Press. I can't believe the editor actually let them put the article with that banner on it. Baby mama arrested for child abuse. I was like, God, what is this world coming to? Baby mama. And it wasn't bad enough that that was the banner. The article started, baby mama in Sioux Falls, Idaho, arrested for severe child abuse. I'm like, baby mama? You have got to be fucking kidding me. And then for the editor to allow that, I mean, baby mama. Then there was I'm going to have to make notes. I can't remember. What state or what city, whatever, there was a 28-year-old cold case that was just solved using whatever newest DNA science and the girl was 14, and unfortunately she ended up with a dirt nap, and it was her boyfriend, and the one detective that worked on the case, when he was a patrolman, that goes to show you, because he was the original, he started the investigation. He said they never suspected the boyfriend. His alibi was so convincing that they basically took his word and never bothered with him again. They didn't bother taking his DNA, nothing. Although 28 years ago, DNA was in its infancy, they never suspected the boyfriend. And whatever the newest, because, DNA is advancing rapidly, they discovered it was the boyfriend. Someone that they discounted right from the beginning. Oh, your alibi's airtight. You're good. You got nothing to worry about, buddy. And the boyfriend gave the girl a dirt nap. She was 14. He was 15 at the time. And 28 years later, they knocked on his door. Come with us. And when they got the DNA hit, and it just was an unknown male. The patrolman, who's basically was the first one on the scene, he said, now he's a detective ready to retire. They took a look at this cold case, and he said, you know, why don't we get the boyfriend's DNA? Even though we discounted him, he had an airtight alibi. So they followed him around, you know, inconspicuously. And they were behind him going down the street. And he tossed the cigarette out. And they stopped in traffic, walked over, pair of tweezers, put the cigarette butt in a plastic bag, sent it in for testing, and it was a match. 28 years this guy was like, I got away with that shit. And when they came to arrest him, he said to the detective, I knew you'd be here one day. And then he said, how did you finally determine it was me? Because you ruled me out from day one. And the detective said, remember you threw a cigarette butt out? He goes, well, I always throw cigarette butts out the window. He said, well, you made a mistake that day. He said, we retrieved that cigarette butt from the street and sent it in. But when the police showed up, he's like, I knew you'd be here someday. He said, I've had this over my head for 28 years. He said, I actually thought I got away with it. So, you know, with the advancements of DNA, I think we're going to see a lot more cold cases solved over the years. It's just sad that it took 28 years, because the only living relative was her younger sister. The parents had passed, and the aunts and uncles had passed, because her younger sister was, I think, 12 at the time. The only living relative. But they had the body cams on. Usually detectives don't wear body cams. These two detectives had body cams on. They knocked on the door. He answered the door. They showed their badge. He said, I knew you'd be here someday. And he admitted to it. He said, yeah, I did it. The only good thing was when it came time for court, he just pled guilty. He said, I'm not going to put her sister through a trial. He said, I can't believe that it took this long. But he didn't fight it at all. I mean, when they took him into the interview room, he told the detectives how he did it, what happened. And he says, I can't believe you believed my alibi, which was phony, but he was so convincing that they, right from the beginning, marked him off the list. You're good. Don't worry about it. Have a nice day. What a way to live, though, Never knowing that knock at the door is going to be the end of your freedom, That would drive me insane. Having that hang over my head, knowing what I did. But it also goes to show, how convincing he was that they never questioned him again. They just went, yep, you're good. You're off our list. And he still lived in the same city. Never left town. Me, I'd have been up in Canada. I'd have been up in, the Yukon Territory, living in a cabin. Because they'd have never got me. If he would have left the state, they might never have reinvestigated him. Although that detective was like, we kind of marked the boyfriend off the list pretty quick. Maybe we should take another look at him. And it was amazing. On her dress, the DNA spot was smaller than a dime. That was the only DNA that they had. How he managed to give his girlfriend a dirt nap without leaving a shitload of DNA all over the place. But also, 28 years ago, they didn't have the forensic team come in moon suits and Christ, nowadays, they've got cameras that basically do a 3D video of the scene for future reference, and the forensic team comes in and nobody's allowed in until they're done. And Although Britain, they're way ahead of us in their forensics. They're amazing over in Britain. Christ, they go through a house with a fine-tooth comb. I like watching British forensic teams. They step out of the van, put on the moon suits and the goggles and the face masks and gloves and booties. And they have steps that they put down. They never walk on the carpet or the floor. They put down these little platforms. It's amazing to watch British forensic teams. Now there's one, oh God, it's down south somewhere. Is it Georgia? I want to say some police department in Georgia. They've got a forensic team that is very similar to the British. I can't remember what city. Because they studied the way the Brits do it. Although we've got two big cases that still are not solved. One was the abduction of Beverly Potts from Halloran Park, and then another one was in Garfield, Beverly Jaros. As a matter of fact, there was an article recently, it's some anniversary of her murder. And to this day, they have no idea. Whoever committed that murder, it was like the guy dropped in off a spider web, murdered her, and then went back out. Because Beverly Potts was, I want to say, '50, '51, '52. I'll have to look it up. Because I remember for years, all parents would, you better be home when the streetlights come on. You want to disappear like Beverly Potts? Nope, I'll be here. I think I heard every parent in the neighborhood say that to their kids. I want to know where you're going. You want to end up like Beverly Potts? No. And they never have found her. She was abducted. She vanished like into thin air. Because they used to have traveling concerts during the summer at Halloran Park. And she went down for the show, and nobody saw her. No one saw. The girl vanished. Nobody saw a thing. They don't know how she got abducted. To this day, never found her. And that Beverly Jarrows case in Garfield, she was upstairs in her bedroom. And to this day, they haven't a clue who killed her, why. Although, like the head of the Detective Bureau in Garfield said, it's a case they constantly work. Even though it's gone cold, they constantly work it. But nobody saw nothing, nobody heard nothing. I can't remember if her sister came home and found her or her mother. They don't know how the guy got in the house. Although they did say that they think it was somebody she knew, because there was no forced entry, but no idea who did it. And that was like, I want to say back in the late 60s, early 70s. I remember when it hit the news. That was big news. But those are the two big cases in Northeast Ohio. Well, that and that serial killer over on the east side that offed them 11 or 12 women. Although they tore the house down and they turned the property into a memorial garden. Well, same thing with what the hell was that guy's name that kidnapped them 3 girls and held them for all those years? They tore his house down too, turned it into a memorial park for the kids in the neighborhood. God, I can't remember the girls' names. Because now one of the TV stations hired her, the one girl. And she does missing persons cases. I can't remember what station. Because it surprised me one day seeing, missing persons with, I can't remember the girls' names. Help me out, Kathy. Give me the 3 girls' names. Because one of them basically, she just like dropped out of sight. She don't. Matter of fact, 2 of them did, and it surprised me. The one was on TV. I was like, she does a weekly or a once a month segment on missing persons. Yeah, good old Dahmer. Yeah, he made Ohio famous. He got his what for in prison, though. Really, Kathy? Holy shit. Then there was that, oh God, what was his name? They called him Dr. Death. He was at Ohio State Hospital for a while. They hired him and then he moved on somewhere else. No, Elizabeth Smart wasn't from Ohio. That was a big case. Yeah, it was amazing when they found her. That was out in California. And she was out in public. That's where the guy screwed up. Because he kept her under wraps for all those years. Plus, I think she had a kid with that idiot. Although the one girl in Cleveland had a kid with that idiot. He ended up saving the state a lot of money. He offed himself in prison or in jail. Amanda Berry. That's the one that does. I can't remember what local TV. What 358? It's not 19. They hired her to do a missing persons segment now. Yeah, Michelle Knight and Gina DeJesus, they didn't want to be bothered. But Amanda Berry, because I couldn't believe it when it said, missing persons hosted by Amanda Berry. And I went, what? And she mainly does teenagers, Because Michelle Knight, she was in the news for a while. And Gina DeJesus kind of, she was like, hey, after they wrote the book, but, oh yeah, Amanda Berry from day one. Because the idiot lived like 5 houses from the goddamn second district. Police cars going up and down the street all day long. But he was really sneaky, because he'd leave a door unlocked and then he'd hide and they'd think he left. And then he'd be like, uh-huh. Well, the one day he went to McDonald's and she kicked out the front door. Yeah, but they were right under the police department's nose all those years. Of course, the upstairs of that house was like triple insulated and windows were all covered over, so even if anybody screamed or anything, you couldn't hear them. He was an asshole, man. But he saved the state a lot of money. Because we didn't have to hold a trial and we didn't have to pay to, keep his ass going until he died. But yeah, Amanda Berry, she, from day one, which I give her a lot of credit, boy. That girl went through hell all them years. But see, she knows it from the victim's side. But yeah, she's doing a segment on, I'll have to see what TV station. Because I was shocked. I was like, what? Because they wrote a book and they made a movie and because I remember they did an interview with Michelle Knight. And she had a condo. Well, that state victim money, they got, although no matter what they got, it really, for all the years that they were captive, you can't put a dollar value on it, but they got big bucks from the state. Because I remember when they did the interview, Michelle had a condo that she bought with the money, and basically they're all set for life. Oh yeah, Kat, that was. Not to mention 5 houses from the police department, the second district, over on Fulton Road. He came and went, played in a band, helped the neighbors out, and no one ever knew what was going on in that house. And then basically he comes home from McDonald's and tries to drive down the street and like, what are all these police cars doing here? And then one of the neighbors went, there he is. DeCastro, I think his name was. Hey, there he is. They arrested his ass on the spot. Matter of fact, it was like 2 weeks before the shit hit the fan. He got stopped for having a fictitious plate on his motorcycle. And he thought at that point he had been discovered. And the police told him, like, hey, take that bike home and don't ride it till you get a new license plate. And he was like, okay. The only thing that Michelle Knight had to say negative about Amanda was that when she got out of the house and told the neighbors, hey, you know, I've been in a captive, and they said, is somebody else in the house? And she said, yeah, Gina, and she never mentioned Michelle. Although they didn't really, because Michelle was, I think she, when she got abducted, she was 19 or 20. So they really, she was kind of under the radar. And on top of it, you know, DeCastro was friends with Amanda Berry's family. Because she was coming home from school and he offered her a ride. And she thought, hey, you know, he's been over the house, he's been over for cookouts and so on and so forth. Yeah, you can give me a ride home? Yeah, no problem. And nobody ever suspected him. I can't remember. I think she was leaving her job. I think she, after work. She worked at Burger King down at 110th and Lorraine in that area. And he said, hey, instead of walking, I'll give you a ride home. And she jumped in the car, not thinking anything. Just goes to show you, you can't trust anybody. Yeah, I'll have to gargle Amanda Berry and see what TV station she's working for. But she's done a lot of public speaking at schools, and yeah, she has been quite vocal. But like she said, He was a friend of the family. Why would she suspect him of doing anything, you know? Although I can't remember something he said, before I take you home, I got to stop at the house. And once he got her in the house, but like she said, I trusted him. And how he could face her parents, that's one thing I don't understand. He's got their daughter captive in his house, and he did cookouts and family gatherings. And how he could face, oh God, talk about people that have no conscience. Scary. And that shit goes on across the United States almost daily. Like that guy that, oh God, he had a farm. And he abducted this girl, and he had a shipping container outfitted like a camper. And how they caught him, I can't remember. Channel 8? Okay, thanks. I knew you'd. Kathy, you're always my savior. I knew it wasn't 19. But I couldn't remember which one it was. Good old Channel 8. Home of the Dick Goddard Weather Center. I'm surprised that Channel 8 hasn't done like a Chuck Shadowski studio. Because Chuck Shadowski did a lot for that station. Not to mention all of the videos of the Ghoulardi show he preserved and stored at his house. I'm surprised they don't replay them. God, I would love to watch old Ghoulardi videos again. And some of the skits, oh, they wouldn't get away with that shit today. I still remember the one. Because they had a black cameraman, and he was a big guy, and he used to do skits with them. And I'll never forget, Chuck Shadowski was dressed up like the old Polak, you know, and they were on a job site, and it was lunchtime. And it showed Chuck Shadowski eating a piece of watermelon. and sitting next to him was this black cameraman eating a kielbasa sandwich. And they turned and looked at one another and went, I don't understand how you can eat this. They could never get away with that today. But I remember that skit to this day. You remember that one too? They couldn't get away with that today. God, every rights group would be up their ass. But I remember Chuck had that big piece of watermelon, and I can't remember the name of that black cameraman. He's eating a kielbasa sandwich. They turn to one another and went, I don't know how you can eat this stuff. I don't know why that one sticks in my mind, but I know there would be no way they could get away with that today, especially being Fox Network now, you know. Another one I remember was they had the black guy and his wife. And little John was like a baby, and he was in a diaper. And the black guy was holding him, and it was for some laundry detergent. You know, they were doing a spoof on it. And he turned and he goes, I'm not asking how you got him so clean. How you get him so white? And, you know, it's like he's their baby and here's little John in a diaper. I did not ask you how you got him so clean. How'd you get him so white? They used to do some crazy skits. But Chuck Schodowski preserved all the tapes of the Gilardi show. And he had them at home in his basement. And you would think, especially now since Chuck passed away, that they would run some of them tapes. Or name like a studio after him, you know, the Chuck Schodowski news studio or something. Because he worked there from, God, I think he started at that station when he was in his early 20s. Because I remember there was a nasty storm and Chuck's basement started to flood. And he went into a panic getting all them preserved videos out of that basement. But he had every single tape of the Gilardi show fully preserved. And he did it on his own. The station didn't ask him. Where they're at today, but I would love to see some of the old Gilardi show. Good old Ernie Anderson. You know, I'm sure they mentioned it in passing. I don't know how him and Tim Conway were friends. I don't know if they'd met when he was at another station, but Tim Conway was the one that took him out to Hollywood and got him a job out there. He tried to get him into acting, but Ernie couldn't. He couldn't memorize lines because Ernie was on one Gunsmoke. And luckily, Ernie only had like 3 or 4 words to say. But he was on one segment of Gunsmoke, thanks to Tim Conway. And then Tim Conway introduced him to Carol Burnett. And she liked his voice. And she made him the announcer. I'm trying to think. Did Ernie do the weather? I remember Houlihan the weatherman. I can't remember. I think Ernie did the weather. And then he came up with this Gallardi idea, and man, did that take off. Because I remember Ernie had pitched the idea. And his boss kind of poo-pooed the idea. And I can't remember who was station manager at the time. And he said, we'll try it, see what happens. Was the best thing Channel 8 ever did. For all the time that Ernie was Gallardi, crime rate on Friday nights dropped to next to 0 in the city of Cleveland because every kid was home watching Gallardi. Oh, we ain't breaking into cars tonight. Gallardi's on. Yeah, Chuck passed away 3-4 months ago. Oh, really? Yeah, I never got the whole story on why Chuck decided not to tape over. At one point, he started keeping the tapes. And they would take them home and preserve them. I think he was going to put them on DVDs, but it never happened. Because the early Goulardi shows, yeah. But it was later on that Chuck was like, maybe we ought to save these. Because there was a picture of Chuck's basement, and man, he had tapes up the ass. He had all kinds of equipment down there to preserve them. I just wonder where they're at. I would love to see old Goulardi again. Well, before I run out of battery, I think it's that time. I gotta make my pasta. Pasta. With the Festivus poll. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here, putting up with my ass. And we will meet again tomorrow night. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Until tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. See ya.